Well, as you see, this time I'm printing 3 of the parts. There's like a ratchet lever, sort of ratchet thing, or what I'm terming as a ratchet. There's a main body and there's a lever that you squeeze, and that ratchet lever goes against like the teeth on this, and it gradually pushes it forward each time you squeeze the big lever there. So this is wider, 20mm heatsink paste. I know say flux, but might do flux as well, I don't know. The original one might be more to do with flux. But this is for heatsink paste, so that you can squeeze bits out that you might want gradually. So you see the infill there. I think it goes set to 30% if I remember right. And this is, as I said I think in the other video, this is supposed to be flesh coloured PLA. 200 on the nozzle, 60 on the heat bed. Got Elmer's glow stick on this bed. Yes, it's got ultra base, is it called, on the Creality end of 5+. But I found do better with Elmer's glow stick. That's this shading there. It's quite a long print this, or will it be? How close, so better off getting into that one. See the infill there. See the ultra base on the bed here. Ultra base, I think it's called. That's better. It's white, bleaches out the camera actually. Well, almost white, but the term is flesh coloured. Maybe somebody's had a bad shock. So the part outside is a skirt. I think I asked for 3 rows of skirt to get the filament flowing. Make sure it's laying down right. That looks okay. So I'm using the Big Tree Tech. So got a symbol for the Big Tree Tech. BL Touch, marlin inside, big glue. This is stuck on here, yeah, Capricorn. Although I don't have the genuine Capricorn tubing, but this is pretty good, this Capricorn, the blue stuff here. It's simulated Capricorn tubing, and to me it's just about the same. It's nice and slippy, and I think it's a bit harder, more rugged than normal Bowden tubing. So this is a Bowden tube going all the way to the feeding mechanism here. This is turning, gripping the filament, pushing this filament through the tube, comes out here, goes through the hot end, gets heated up, melts the plastic through the nozzle and lays it down where the G code is telling it to move to. So the STL file, the designer file, create an STL file, that's converted into G code, which is a command telling it to move X, Y, Z, basically. See the part fan there, this is a part fan blowing on the part for PLA. This one on this side is a blower. and this is a hot end fan on this side. This is on all the time, but the part fan is adjusted for speed and only comes on after about the second layer full speed, I think. Third layer full speed, I think. I've got to remember the settings right. So as I said in the other video, all this stuff here is to raise this conduit above this beam member going across here. Otherwise this conduit scrapes on this beam sometime. This makes it a lot easier to see and thread the PLA, well, the filament, whichever filament you're using. This mechanism up here, well, how I've moved it up here on this stand. I'm thinking about moving this blue one over on this sort of gold coloured stand. That's gold PLA. Don't know, I'll have to decide whether I'm going to do that or not. So this is the flesh coloured, plain flesh coloured PLA. You decide whether it's flesh coloured or not. You try the arm. That arm's a bit whiter, a bit more creamy. It's sort of like a creamy coloured. So I have this. This is a stress gauge load cell. That's the proper name, I think. A load cell in here for getting the weight of the filament. I haven't got that wired up yet, but I hope to get it wired up one day. And I believe it's possible to link that into the printer, so that if you're going to try and print off something that's, say, 200 grams and you've only got 100 gram on the spool, it'll warn you that you haven't got enough filament left to do the job. I believe. I haven't wired it up yet, so I don't know. But having a spool like this coming off on this arm mechanism here means I can look at the spool and see, oh, there's plenty of filament on that spool. Yep, no problem there. Just have to glance at it. So this has two modes, this display. It has a touch screen mode, but I like this LCD 12864 display mode. That's my Raspberry Pi in there. I'm not using, well, I'm using it just so I can look at the camera. This Pi camera, which has a ribbon cable coming all the way down there into the Raspberry Pi. But I'm waiting for a new wire to go from the Pi into the side here, a new USB cable, a short one, that I'm hoping I can get Octoprint working again on here. So the hole on the left is for Wi-Fi. I haven't managed to get the Wi-Fi working. Have to wait for that. This display also has a SD card port on it and a Wi-Fi port on it. So I plan to get a SD card extension. Now I haven't decided whether, if I've got enough space, to put the other end of the extension here or bring it round to the side and put it on the side, something like this, so I can plug SD cards in if I want, or put it down here if it would reach. Like redesign this again so you can slide in SD cards, because this slot for micro SD, I think it is, can't be, well, isn't really used so far as I can tell. I'm having to use the SD card on the display, which always turn the power off before you take out the SD card or go under here for the SD card, because, well, actually it's over this side, I think. That's the point. It's over that side. Will it reach? Well, I'll have to sort that out when I get the extension. Not sure where the extension is, but that's the main switch on this side. So, yeah, the mains power and the SD card presumably on that side. so I'll have to reach right round here. There might be room here, but we've got the mains wiring, we've got like display electronics, putting an SD card in. I'll have to see to all that. That's something to sort of consider when I actually get the wire to see how long it is. I know it tells me how long the wire is, but it's only when you get it that you realise just how long it is. Oh, it's got the bar graph on here. Oh, last time I printed, oh yes, because I am printing from the SD card at the moment. When I printed earlier, I was printing direct from Cura and it didn't have this bar graph on. But one advantage printing from the SD card, as I say, I turned off the main power before I plugged it in, because the two wires for the mains go very close to the SD, card, sort of like you plug SD cards in for the display that the files are read off. And although they've got covering on, like plastic covering on the contacts, you can have bits of bare metal exposed there and it would be mains, so you're asking to be electrocuted if you touch them. Don't take this, turn off mains power if you're taking it out and plugging it in. Yeah, SD card, that's what I did. Well, it's micro SD, put in an SD converter, standard SD. So this is printing off the SD card, that's why I got this bar graph. When I was using Cura direct, well, through USB, I was using a big long USB wire, it wasn't showing the bar graph, but now it is. And it's giving the time, 2.5 hours done, the temperature 200, and XYZ, FR, that isn't, it's more like an overall speed, I believe, FR, 100%. As I say, this can be used at touch screen as well. I'm not going to do it now, but I can press the button and change it to touch screen. I think I prefer the LCD 128/64, it's easier to control. If you're going up and down on the touch screen, you're having to jab the button, and sometimes it's hard to know that you're jabbing it because you might be watching. Say you wanted to come down like 10 millimeters at a time, you're having to watch it and try and watch where you're jabbing the button and your finger can run off it. But with the control knob you've got something physical to hold. This is a rotary control knob, just in case you haven't watched the other video. This is still not totally fastened together. I'm waiting for this extension wire, SD extension wire for one thing. So I've got two wires, an SD extension wire for an SD card to get somewhere where I can plug the card in from outside, instead of having to open it up and turn off the power and fiddle about. It's a bit of a tight squeeze to do that, but it is possible. I'm waiting for an SD extension, but I'm also waiting for a USB to go from the Raspberry Pi to this sort of printer port that's on the side here, and I'm hoping to get Octoprint working on this. I want that SD card working as well. I think I've got some light flicker on this, so sorry if you see any light flicker. I can physically see some light flickering. One problem with this printer is this beam up here. You can sometimes see underneath it. It's quite hard to do, especially when you're doing the Z probe offsets and such like. So there's four main parts to this heatsink paste pusher device. There's a ratchet for gripping on this sort of plunger. There's the main body and there's a lever. But there's like a bit of filament you can use as a like pin thing for the lever to work on with the ratchet, I think. And also you need probably a 3mm bolt with a nut. Just a second, I'm getting caught up there. Just hope the electricity stops on. There's a like extra control board you can get for the Big Tree Tech that does if the power goes off then you can resume, I think. Right, come back in quite a few hours, probably tomorrow. Hopefully this will be finished tomorrow. So as I say, this beam here gets in the way when you're trying to video or trying to look at the Z probe height and things. Not too bad. We're coming up to 5 hours and I reckon it's got 20 minutes or so to go. I want to see if it makes a tune. I've asked for it to make a tune at the end to tell me it's finished. Now when I was using Cura it did not play a tune, it did not show this bar graph here when I was using Cura. I think when I used Print Run it did play a tune. It's a bit hard to be sure of that because I wasn't in the room at the time. I'm sure I heard some music playing that sounded like the tune I have set up to play. So I'm hoping to catch that at the end of this print. So this 19.2 is layer height, so it should be 19.4 the next layer because it's going up 0.2 layer height. So it's gone to the next level, 19.4, that's 0.2 layer height. I think the first layer is 0.3, don't quote me on that. There's the XY, or thread temperatures, and the fan speed on the right hand side. Well, not speed, a percentage of the fan speed in the way. Full blast 100%, that's part fan. PLA. Now we've got the edge of this beam thing getting in the way there. That'll be the angle I'm shooting at. Yeah, it's doing the tops now. 5.5 hours for 3 pieces. Not too bad there. I got it on 100 millimeters per second or whatever it is on this Creality Ender 5 Plus, using this Big Tree Tech SKR Turbo 1.4. I reckon I could speed it up a little bit actually, do more than 100, but that's something to maybe look at another day. See, there's only a tiny bit left on the sort of bar graph now. Playing any music, because it's the same end chord, it's in the end chord where it plays the music. Yep, it should be finishing off. Still a tiny gap. Ah, there we are, it's finished. Going by that, yes, it's finished. The bed's moving down as I ask it to give the part a bit of time. We'll soon hear if it makes any music. And as you can hear, yes, it does. But what's supposed to happen there is supposed to be like a pause between the two tunes there. And it's supposed to like go, like play a tune when it's finished like now, and then go to 32 degrees and then play the other tune, because 32 degrees is a good temperature to see about removing parts, because this bed is set to 60. It's at 57 now, so I'll have to wait until it cools before I even want to attempt removing these parts. But those look like 3 good prints to me. I can't see any curling or anything. This might look like it's curling, but it's just the design of it to a certain extent. Right. As you can see, it's got 2 holes here and a hole in that lever, so that lever goes in here, and then a bolt through there to act like a lever. This has a small hole in, which I think is basically for a piece of filament to go in, and that goes in the lever, and then this like tough part here grips on the plunger type thing here and gradually pushes it forward. But I'll show you that once I get these parts off the bed.